I ask. Other than that, it's all open. So hope to see you guys there.
Hey guys, Derek on behalf of Facilities and Grounds. A quick shout out to John Mowbray is in the house. the legacy Facilities and Grounds guy who I'm trying to fill the shoes of. Quick update, yeah, you heard about the Memorial Garden, so the planning's going good. We got the new plaque. We got the mosaic refreshed, so a couple other things like repainting those chair bench thingies, and we'll be good to go, right? Second thing, the update on the chair project, right? You probably passed by it on your way in. There's a sample of the proposed new chair back there. There we go. You should sit in it and give us your feedback. Yeah. I'm pretty thinking it's pretty good. The one thing is, it does have like these like trays underneath to store the hymnals in. I'm thinking maybe that's a good idea. I'm a little concerned that it will be harboring fugitives like lost and found stuff, right? But we'll see, right? Anyway, so that's it. Check it out when you get a chance.
Good morning, Lindsay Stroh from the auction. You are the committee, and Sarah and I are the co-chairs. There are some forms over here if you'd like to fill out forms, but most of you are doing it with online. I want to remind you that when you do it online, after you fill it in and add the photograph, please hit the submit button, because otherwise it won't go anywhere, and I won't know that you did it. So, and when you do hit the submit button, you will get a confirming email. We are over $2,000 worth of donations now. Last year we made almost $5,000, so I'm looking for more donations. Thank you.
Lori Hospitality, just to remind you that there are many openings for you to be able to serve coffee to your fellow members. The sign-up sheets on the counter. Please, I actually have nobody for next week. Please sign up.
Good morning, everyone. Miguel Rodriguez from Social Action Committee. Today we have a meeting at after service, noon time. So please join us. We usually gather in the library, and we actually will be talking about a book. We'll start reading a book by a former French diplomat, but actually he became a French national. He was originally German. Born German and in Germany, and he was placed in the concentration camp. I guess he didn't like the politics during those times. But it's an exhaustive book, so we're going to take it chapter by chapter. So this is how big the book is. It's called A Time for Outrage by Stefan Hessel. So hope you can join us. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. All right, let's take a breath as we start into our service. My opening words come from Howard Zinn. To be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, and kindness. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many, where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act, and at least the possibility of sending this spinning top of a world in a different direction. Our speaker today is Rabbi David Kay. I'll introduce him more fully later on in the service, but he's going to be performing our opening music. So please welcome Rabbi Kay.
All right, this song has a chorus that you can sing along to, so that's going to show up in just a second. I'll go through the chorus a couple of times before I go into the verse, give you a chance to pick up on it. There is a breeze that blows with Eden on its wing. There is a stream that flows clean and pure within. There is a rain that falls that can wash this city clean. There is a breeze. There is a breeze. Try that. There is a breeze that blows with Eden on its wing. There is a stream that flows clean and pure within. There is a rain that falls that can wash this city clean. There is a breeze. There is a breeze. You've almost got it. Try it one more time. There is a breeze that blows with Eden on its wing. There is a stream that flows clean and pure within. There is a rain that falls that can wash this city clean. There is a breeze. There is a breeze. All right, you'll have a couple more chances later on. Here comes the verse. So many people thinking, but only of themselves. So kind of thinking gets you sinking into some self-prophetic hell. Feel your spirit moving from above and below. Thoughts of wrong and right, questions in the night. Answer simple, don't you know? There is a breeze that blows with Eden on its wing. There is a stream that flows clean and pure within. There is a rain that falls that can wash this city clean. There is a breeze. There is a breeze. Now I heard you had some trouble. I've had some trouble too. The trouble is with trouble. When it gets the best of you, forget about that sorrow. Never mind your pride. Tomorrow could be clover if you turn your sorrow over. Joy lives on the other side. There is a breeze that blows with Eden on its wing. There is a stream that flows clean and pure within. There is a rain that falls that can wash this city clean. There is a breeze. There is a breeze. Now everybody wants a little love in this world, so why are you trying to hide it? And if you want to talk about the wave of the future, you gotta be willing to ride it. Raising your hand to strike a blow for justice, but what you're really trying to do, you say you're gonna crush an enemy in righteous wrath. You're looking for an enemy. I found the enemy. The enemy is inside of you. There is a breeze that blows with Eden on its wing. There is a stream that flows clean and pure within. There is a rain that falls that can wash this city clean. There is a breeze. 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 There is a hey, hey, hey.
Thank you. That was wonderful. All right. Our chalice lighter today is Addie. Her pronouns are she, her, and she's 5.5 years old. And her joy is that her baby brother was born. And Addie, we share that joy with you. Oops, it is. Oh, I'm having a hard time with a candle here. It's not just the kids. That is right. One last chance. I think I just saw it light. There we go. It is drippy jewels, so be careful. If you'll join me, in the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And our affirmation, love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. We want to welcome everyone that has joined us here today in person. We also want to welcome everyone who is here with us online. If you take a moment and wave to our friends, we're really happy you're here with us today. We don't forget that you're part of our congregation. We move to our time of joys and concerns. By sharing the major events in our lives, both the joyful ones and the more difficult ones, we become closer. Oh, thank you, Miguel. We become closer and we become more able to support each other, such as Miguel just supporting me. Come up to the microphone if you want to share, but remember this is being broadcast online, so you are sharing to the entire world forever.
You want to go first?
My baby brother is a cute.
Good morning. I'm Peter, and I just completed probably the 20th, leading the 20th one-week meditation retreat for the Orlando Insight Meditation Group. Ended yesterday, and I'm feeling pretty mellow. The title of the retreat has been all along Riding the Waves of Change, which may have some relevance to what's going on these days. So I feel really good about that, and I got some feedback from people who had been on the retreat before that this really worked for them this time. I think they were ready and I was ready. So it said that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, but when the teacher is ready, the students will appear. And also, I'm going to be teaching an introductory mindfulness of breathing meditation course here, starting on the 12th of April, ending on May 3rd. It'll be 4 Saturday mornings from 9:30 to 11. There's a flyer on the wall. If you have any more questions about that, please talk to me or email me at peter@orlandoinsightmeditation.org. So, glad to be back. I wish you well.
My joy is that I got to ask to be the ring bearer in my cousin's wedding.
My joy is I play basketball.
My joy is that I got to go to Disney World with my Grammy.
Rachel Wisner. My joy is that I spent a lot of this past week driving from college to college with my junior in high school. touring different colleges. I think I got my steps in for the month. It was a lot. There are a lot of beautiful colleges in Florida, so I think wherever she goes, she'll be fine. But it's also my concern. My baby is going to be leaving the nest, and wow, the next phase of my life is going to start. So, woohoo!
So John and Amy Mowbray. I feel like I'm having an out-of-body experience because I've waited so long to see you guys again. I already put some hydrogen peroxide drops by accident in my eyes, so it's okay if I cry because they're already bloodshot and red. Traveling is interesting. We've been really fortunate to have a few weeks. He's been working. I am not. And we've been traveling around seeing some friends and family. Unfortunately, a lot of family that's having difficult health issues. So it's just been such a boost to see everybody and get to reconnect with you guys. And I'm looking forward to coffee afterwards. And we really miss you. We still miss you exactly as much as we missed you like a week later when I didn't come here. It's not getting any better. So this is still our church home in many ways. We have another church home. But thank you. But you guys are irreplaceable, and I think we all knew that.
I can't say much more than Amy. It's great to see everybody and all the new folks too, and all the old friends. Thank you.
One last thing, when I sit through either online or here listening to all the committee moments, I have such bad FOMO. And I don't get FOMO, but I have bad FOMO here. FOMO, fear of missing out for you guys that, yeah. Like, I'm like, oh, I want to go to that. I want to go to Spark Dinner.
Hello, my name is William Kennedy. I'm here with my partner. He had his last chemo. Yay!
Kathy McCambridge here. It's a concern. When Atlanta had their protest about the young black man who was killed, they arrested 60 out-of-towners for the protest. And when they did, they were given bail, and bail was set, and they were set free, but the group that set them free are now set and charged with aiding and abetting. Yeah, no lie. And the judge wants to throw on there the terrorism law. We do not have out-of-towners protesting in our city. So it really is. Just an FYI.
Miguel Rodriguez again. And I love the title of today's talk. Rabbi David is going to talk about justice by any means necessary. No, justice by just me. Just me. Yeah. That's right. Yes, that's right. And speaking of justice, I have a joy. So last week, a few members of SAC, three of us went to Joy Metropolitan Community to support that church, which was being harassed by some haters. And the good news is it was uneventful. The haters didn't show up. I believe it's because and Louisa flexed their muscles, and nobody. But a lot of people from Pledge did show up outside the church, and when you just talk and converse, mostly, but show support. And people came from the service. These young ladies that were members of the church, probably in their late 20s at most, and mentioned each of us by name, thanking us. And they really, really were appreciative of us being. And also, of course, Dr. Joel Hunter was there, and our state representative, Anna Estani, was there as well. So a lot of good support.
Pretty evident joy here. Tristan, a couple others though that I've been thinking about. One is being back here and seeing everybody in the community that we have here. You know, a happy baby and an awesome 5.5-year-old, wherever she's to. But also just in these times that are changing, the jobs that both myself and Mallory have and their recommitments to their DEI process. We had my company doubled and hired additional people and are putting more programs out and are taking a firm stance. They're in the finance world, and so that's kind of a rarity. And then also because of their approach to diversity and inclusion, being able to be on paternity leave right now in the height of tax season is rare as well. So I'm very happy for that. So.
Just real quick, I just wanted to say, Luke and I were in France for a couple of weeks. We just got back on Wednesday, and we had lots of conversations with folks in the towns we stayed in. And I want to tell you, the attitude toward Americans was inevitably sympathy. It was lovely to feel. I didn't feel any bitterness or anger, just concern and sympathy. Just wanted to share that. Did you need the microphone?
Thanks. This is Evelyn here, and of course I know so many of you for so many years, but nice to see new faces. But I wanted to tell you that it's a joy to be here with my family from Maine who was for thawing out. And but I also wanted to mention that I am on Zoom, so I have seen a lot of you even though you haven't seen me. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Please join me in a moment of silence to recognize all that's been shared today and the joys and concerns that remain in people's hearts. Thank you. Martha, I forgot. Are there any online concerns? Excellent. All right. Time for all ages. Welcome, Tay, our religious education coordinator.
Hi everyone. As mentioned, I'm Tay. I am your religious education coordinator. Meet Jet Pig. He is a fun little mascot to represent our shared values for us as Unitarian Universalists. Each of the letters represents one of our values, but instead of me just standing up here and talking about them, I want to hear how these values impact our congregation. With me, I have a beach ball, each color marked with a different letter of Jet Pig. The beach ball will be traveling through the congregation. If you would like to participate in Time for All Ages, I want you to catch the beach ball. Tell me the letter your hand lands on that has been discussed, and I will give you a definition and ask you a simple question related to it, as Jules brings around the mic. If you do not wish to participate, you can continue to all around. E? E is for equity. Equity means we work for a peaceful and fair world. Equity means we all get to have it. What does it mean for something to be equal?
There's a term called equanimity, which means finding the balance between energy and too little energy and too much rigidity and too much flexibility. So that to me is what it means, is finding that middle ground where we can all be together.
Awesome, thank you. And if anyone needs a visual, I'm going to mark off the letters as we go. Go ahead and pass it throughout the congregation. J. J is for justice. This means we work towards a better world for everyone. We use our democratic process to make decisions that will guide us to a diverse, beloved community. When have you seen people bring about positive change while working together?
Well, as an activist in my social action committee, we work towards that all the time in different organizations that we support. And I don't know how else to answer it. As an activist, we try to do it all the time.
Wonderful, thank you. I, interdependence. Interdependence means that we are all connected. People, creatures, and our planet, we honor them all by taking care of them. Do you care for a pet or a plant? And if you do, how do you care for them? Do you have a pet?
Diesel and Lucy.
Pretty sure she feeds her dog. Or Diesel and Lucy.
Diesel and Lucy. What are Diesel and Lucy? A dog and a ferret.
That's amazing. Okay, do you want to throw it? Okay. Eva, do you want to do one, or you can give it to someone else? Do you want to do it, or give it to someone? Do you want to do it? Okay, that's fine.
We did E. Do you want to do T? T? T is for transformation. Transformation means we keep growing and learning together and know that this will change us. Joe, what's your favorite color?
I don't know. I have a lot of different colors.
Rainbow? Rainbow is also a great color. Has that always been your favorite, Joe? Or has it changed and you appreciate new ones over the year?
Now you like a lot of pink and purple and sparkle.
There we go. I have a very similar color history, so I agree with that. Okay, the two last letters are going to be P and G. There we go. P? Okay. P is for pluralism. Pluralism means that there is more than one way, and we celebrate that we have many sources that inspire us and that we make room for different cultures, experiences, and beliefs. When have you used an object outside of its intended purposes? For example, I've used a pencil as a paintbrush, and my cats use cardboards as beds.
My cat usually uses boxes as beds as well, so.
Yeah. My brother has a house, so I use everything differently now. Okay, the last letter is going to be G for whoever wants it. Okay. G is for generosity. Generosity means that we have giving hearts and that we share what we have and that we practice being grateful. When have you shared something with someone?
Tristan.
You've shared with Tristan. What have you shared with Tristan?
How to talk and what words and letters.
That's awesome. Sharing the value of language with her brother. And those are our values as you use. Thank you all.
I love a jet pig logo. That's so fun. For our interlude and offering, we will be supporting the Orlando Center for Justice, and the music will be We Are a Gentle, Angry People, shown up on the screen. are all of those things. Thank you, everyone. And if you'll join me, we'll now sing the children's processional. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. All right. I would like to re-welcome Rabbi David Kay. He's come to speak to us today about the power of the voice of Hebrew prophets, specifically about justice by just means. Rabbi Kay is the chair of the Interfaith Council of Central Florida. He was born in Chicago, but has lived in Florida since he began working part-time for a congregation in Naples in early 2000s. So if you will join me in welcoming Rabbi David Kay.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to add to the list of joys. I have two to share with you. One, of course, is being able to be here with you. That is a tremendous joy. And the other one is, since we are on Zoom to the world, is that I am going to be officiating the wedding of our son on October 19th. So that's and now you have to do it, Jonah and Elle, because it's on the internet and it's there forever. They will, not a word. Down is up is down. There we go. Thank you. Didn't know we were doing Einstein's theory of relativity. Or Escher, exactly. So, justice by just means. This concept derives from a verse in, for us, the Torah, in the book of Deuteronomy. Tzedek tzedek tirdof, which is usually translated, and if we translate it rather literally, as justice, justice you shall pursue. But Judaism being a interpretive tradition, not a literalist tradition, we don't look at that and say, gee, I guess that's just what it means. There are several layers. When you're a several thousand-year-old tradition, there's lots of layers of meaning to mine. The other thing is we have this concept of the economy of divine expression, that words are not repeated unless there's a reason for it. So in this case, the primary interpretation comes from the Babylonian Talmud, and the sages excuse me, of the Talmud teach, justice, justice you shall pursue. Why is the word repeated? Because you have to go after the best court. So just going to a court, just going to a legal ruling isn't sufficient. You have to find, and the Hebrew is a little more nuanced, a Beit Din Yafeh, which literally means a beautiful court, one that understands and applies justice in a fair and equitable way. So we also draw from this verse from Leviticus of not rendering an unfair decision, not favoring the poor, showing deference to the rich, but judging the community fairly. And again, the word tzedek, which we sometimes have as righteousness, sometimes as justice, appears in this verse. And you know, at first we might be taken a bit aback by this and saying, well, not favor the poor, show deference to the rich. Shouldn't we be taking into consideration the economic hardship of someone who comes before a court? Yes, we should, but we should not use unjust means to provide justice for someone who's in need. Likewise, we should not bend justice, and that's really a better translation of the Hebrew rather than showing deference to the rich. It literally means to incline justice. Without making political commentary, I think we can all agree that there are times where if you have the means, you get the response in court that's more favorable to you, typically. So, I want to introduce you, if you don't know this individual. This is Rabbi Dr. Abraham Joshua Heschel of blessed memory. Dr. Heschel taught at the school where I went to rabbinical school, but he taught there decades before I was there, to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. One of the really great thinkers in general, philosophers of the 20th century. and certainly one of the best theologians that I've ever encountered. And he has an interesting take on this. He said, the word justice is repeated because the first time it's used, and you have to know a little bit of Hebrew grammar here. In Hebrew, the noun comes first, the adjective comes afterwards. Okay, so the first time we use the word justice, it's the noun. But the second time we use it, it's actually the adjective. So just because you get a just outcome, if that happened by unjust means, is it really justice? I mean, we would all agree that, if we go through the justice system and everything seems fine, but the outcome is unjust, obviously that's not justice. But it's a little more challenging to say, look, we got there in the end, so what does it matter? No harm, no foul. Yeah, there was harm. Rabbi Heschel understands this to mean pursuing justice by just means. And notice that verb. That's a very active verb. Not seek out, not hope there is, but pursue. It's tzedek tzedek tir dof. It's the command form of the verb. This is a positive commandment of the Torah in our tradition. A positive commandment is a thou shalt, right? It's easy enough to fulfill the so-called negative commandments, the thou shalt nots. We're fulfilling most of those right now just sitting here because, we're not stealing, we're not murdering, we're not engaging in unfair business practices, most of us probably. And so those are kind of easier. It's the ones that say you've got to do something that are more challenging. I would have been, by the way, at Joy Metropolitan Church last Sunday morning, but I was naming a baby. So, it was a tough call, but a baby, come on. My organization, the Interfaith Council of Central Florida, was one of the original signatories of the Central Florida Pledge. It was the group of the clergy leaders, actually, from the Pledge who had this conversation a couple of months ago and decided we were going to activate our faith communities and our worldview communities if there was a need. And there was at Joy Metropolitan. By the way, pursuing justice by just means, showing up, the number of people who showed up, and I can't emphasize that enough. The haters didn't come, probably because enough people showed up there. We saw this after Pulse. It was a phenomenal thing. I had the profound honor of speaking at my minute and a half at the memorial downtown at Lake Eola Park. 50,000 people showed up. The park was filled. People were across the street. They were up on balconies in the surrounding buildings. And people from all walks of life, from all faith traditions and worldviews, and everybody behaved themselves beautifully. The only thing that almost happened was there was a particular politician who will remain nameless but represents this state, who decided they were going to show up and tried to say, I want to get up on the stage in front of all of these people. Word had spread through the group that if this individual took the stage, don't boo, don't shout, don't shout him down, just turn your back. And it didn't happen. They decided not to take the stage in the end, but imagine if somebody took the stage and in complete silence, 50,000 people turned their back on them. Pursuing justice by just means, didn't have to yell, didn't have to shout, didn't have to throw eggs, much as you might have wanted to, but it was, It was too expensive, right? This was years ago, it was, Good point, though. Good point now. Dr. Heschel also wrote a book called The Prophets, very extensive, and he talks about the mission and the message of the prophets of the Hebrew Bible. Was really one of his areas of expertise and passion. And so I think it's important, if we're going to talk about the prophetic voice, to understand the job description of a Hebrew prophet. And so the job description is basically, they receive a divine call. They do not want the job. They try to weasel out of it. but they still have to do it anyway. What's the job? The job is to speak truth to power or to speak the truth to the people. And my teachers in rabbinical school were quick to point out that the prophet of the Hebrew Bible is not a foreteller. They are not predicting the future. This is not Nostradamus. All right? They are forthtellers. They say this is what's going to happen if you continue on this path. We're talking about natural and logical consequences of actions. That's really, people will say, well, but, this prophet said this was going to happen, and it did. Well, yeah. And, I told my son when he was 4 years old, and he built a rocket out of construction paper. We were living in New York near the north end of Central Park. And he said, I'm going to put some tissue paper in the bottom of this construction paper rocket, and I'm going to light it, and it's going to fly. And I said, son, what's going to happen is it's going to burn up. I want you to know that, but he was insisting, so we went out to Central Park, and we lit the tissue paper, and, of course, the entire thing went up in flames. Okay, natural, logical consequences. I told him what was going to happen. He wanted to go ahead and try it anyway, and he had a handful of ash instead of his construction paper rocket, which, by the way, once he tested it to destruction, he was like, okay, I guess you were right. And that was the end of it. The quintessential example of the Hebrew prophet is Moses. Moses is called from the burning bush. Moses gives this whole thing about I'm slow of speech and slow of tongue. And he and God are having this conversation through the messenger in the burning bush. Eventually, Moses says, no, send somebody else. And God responds, who gives a person speech? Who makes them hearing or deaf or lame or whole or whatever? By the way, remember who you're talking to. You've got the job. Congratulations. And what does he have to do? He's got to go to Pharaoh and ask for something that he knows Pharaoh is not going to grant. Likewise, he's told to go to the Israelites and talk to them, and they're not interested either. What the text says to us, and it's really a very touching moment, the text says, and the peoples were so crushed of spirits that they wouldn't even listen. All right, so think of a downtrodden people, and you get to the point where you're just like, why should I even talk to you about things getting better? How's that going to happen? Just because you say so? But still, it was important for the message to be delivered, okay? And then finally, most of the rest of the text of the 5 books of Moses, which we could tell by the name, I guess, is Moses delivering the divine message. We have lots of examples in the 5 books of Moses, but also all the way through the rest of the Hebrew Bible, of having to deliver these kinds of messages to those who are in power or to the people in general. A couple here from Deuteronomy. We're not going to go through them all in detail. Not to judge unfairly, don't show partiality, don't take bribes. Just one little sideline about this thing about bribes blind the eyes of the discerning and upset the plea of the just. For us in the modern world, we would say, well, of course, that's wrong. In the ancient Near East, you always brought a gift for the judge. Bribery was, what we would call bribery, was just proper etiquette back then. So the book of Deuteronomy is saying something very, very subversive here. Stop doing that. That's not really justice by just means. Lots of others, don't subvert the rights of the stranger or the orphan. Again and again, throughout the rest of the Hebrew Bible, but particularly in the 5 books of Moses, there's all this stuff about the stranger, the widow, and the orphan, those who are the most vulnerable. Nathan chastising King David for the whole Uriah Bathsheba incident, and if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's an interesting story. Kind of, yeah, some of it is, definitely. So Isaiah, obviously, the first of the literary prophets, he's got a lot to say about that, especially that your rulers are rogues and cronies of thieves, and everyone avid for presents and greedy for gifts. They do not judge the case of the orphan, or the widow's cause never reaches them. The more things change. But there are 2 statements by Hebrew prophets that I wanted to highlight, and that are really favorites of mine. I know as a rabbi I'm not supposed to have favorite verses from the Hebrew Bible, but nevertheless. One is the prophet Amos, and if you have ever read the book of Amos, that's why there's a sheep and a sycamore tree. He says, I'm not a prophet or a son of a prophet. I am a tender of sheep and a dresser of sycamore trees. Okay, so it's like I'm just a country boy. I got pulled out to do this job. This wasn't my idea. But he very famously, now in our contemporary society here, said, let justice roll down like water and righteousness like an unfailing stream. Not just one of my favorites, but obviously was one of Dr. King's favorites as well. But this is the one that I years ago I wrote down, put in my pocket, and carried it around for decades. That's because this was I read this on my bar mitzvah. This is from the prophet Micha, who says, God has showed you what is good and what Adonai. That's the way we say. Well, we don't say the Lord. The way we say the four-letter Hebrew name of God in liturgical circumstances in Judaism. What does Adonai seek for you? Only to do justice, to love compassion, and walk humbly with your God. So what does that mean? And that transitions us to this concept of Tikkun Olam, of repairing the world, which sounds very broad and very secular. But for a moment, I just want to give you the background, how it developed within my tradition, and how it applies now in the universal sense that we situation where if a husband wanted to send a divorce decree to his wife, and once he had sent it, changed his mind and wanted to recall it. He wasn't supposed to go back to the original rabbinic courts, because that put them in a bad position of saying, oh, remember that thing we wanted to do? Well, forget about it. So he had to go to a different place and have another rabbinic court there nullify it before it got to his wife. All right. Eventually, it was recognized that that was going to cause more problems than it was going to solve, for a variety of reasons. I'm sure you can come up with some. What if the court doesn't convene in time? What if it gets to the wife and she gets it and she goes, great, I'm divorced now, and she marries somebody else? Because they've been separated for months, years. So instead, Rabban Gamliel the elder makes this takana. He makes a legal ruling which remedies a legal or social dilemma. And he says, we're not going to do that anymore for the purpose of repairing the world. In other words, this is a social, not just a legal problem, it's also a social issue. It's an unfair thing that was a good idea at the start. We don't really have case law to say, we can overturn this previous ruling. But we all understand that the world is going to be a better place if we just do things differently now, or we stop doing this thing, which technically is legal. Okay, so it begins to evolve as a legal and a social concept. Starts out in this idea, well, it's for the benefit of society, but it's also to prevent or to avoid social chaos. If something is technically legal, but it creates chaos in the society, it adversely affects the vulnerable, then it needs to be fixed. And Tikkun Olam is the justification for fixing it. It shows up as it develops, first in the esoteric tradition. You may have heard the word Kabbalah. It's probably been misused when you've heard it. It's the esoteric tradition that says the brokenness in the world is our responsibility to repair. So when we say Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, we literally mean there is brokenness in all aspects of the world, in environmental, social, economic, educational, and it's our responsibility to make those repairs. In the liturgy, in every service, there is a line near the end of the service that says our obligation is to repair the world through acknowledging divine sovereignty. Important to understand the universal application. We act and God reacts. That's the theological implication. Not that when we say we're going to repair the world through acknowledging divine sovereignty, that we're saying we're going to pray really hard so that God will fix everything. That ain't how this tradition works, and that's not how most traditions really work. I want to give you this example, an illustrative example of we act and God reacts. Okay, what do I really mean when I say that? And this is at the shore of the Reed Sea. It's not the Red Sea, folks. It's the Reed Sea. The Red Sea is a different body of water. The Reed Sea is what the Israelites crossed. How do I know that? Because I know the biblical Hebrew. The place is called Yam Suf, which means Reed Sea. I don't know who dropped the other E, but that's what it is. So they're standing by the Reed Sea, and I've got to give you, if you've seen the Ten Commandments, there's good old Charlton standing with the extras on the shore of the special effects, and come on, there we go. So Charlton makes this dramatic speech. I think he says, watch the wonders that God will do for you, and then the text has Moses saying, Adonai will battle for you. And everybody, I'm sure, is really impressed. But God responds. And here's what God says, my favorite line in all of, I'm not supposed to have one, but it's my favorite line in all of the Hebrew Bible. God's response is, and this is a literal translation, what are you shouting at me for? Speak to the Israelites and go. It is. Absolutely. This is my mother's voice, right? Why are you complaining? Get up, do it. My father as well, by the way. So what does that actually mean, though? They're stuck between, there's a pillar of fire, right, that's keeping the entire Egyptian army from either re-enslaving them or slaughtering them. Behind them is the Reed Sea, which is probably this large inland lake of brackish water. And what are you supposed to do? You got all your cattle with you, right? You got your babies. Exactly where are we supposed to go? All right. So the Talmud engages this too and imagines the following. That each tribe was unwilling to be the first to enter the sea. No big surprise there, right? But if Moses turns to them and says, hey, by the way, we're just supposed to go. Go where, right? And there was a guy named Nachshon ben Aminadav, Nachshon the son of Aminadav, and if we had another hour, we could explore who he was, but we'll set that aside. He descended first into the sea. So he was like, look, we got to go, right? We're supposed to cross. He starts walking. Moses is still busy praying, right? Charlton is still up on top of the rock going, watch what God's going to do for you. And God responds to Moses and says, look, you got people already trying to cross the sea, and you're standing here praying. Why? Speak to the Israelites and do something. Act. I will react, but you have to act first. Okay? And this is really what we're talking about with that, my favorite line from the Hebrew prophets, from my Bar Mitzvah Haftarah. To do justice, love compassion, and walk humbly. To do justly means to pursue justice by just means. Loving compassion, I grabbed a line from the Psalms, that the world is sustained on compassion. All right? And the world exists because of compassion, and it continues because of compassion. And to walk humbly, this is a really, really important part of it. Humility is something that seems to be lacking in our world at the moment. The sages of the Talmud make it very clear that they believe that the ultimate source of all human wrongdoing is arrogance. That if you can dissolve ego, you can remove arrogance from yourself and replace it with humility, then you've gotten somewhere. That's Moses. Moses, that quintessential prophet of the Hebrew Bible, is spoken of towards the end of, well, actually not even towards the end, in the Torah as the most humble person who ever lived. And when you think about that for a moment, I mean, consider that this is a guy, right, who lived in the royal creche in the household of the Pharaoh, who had to run away for his life, who lived the humble life of a shepherd for a number of years, and then got dragged back into Egypt as the person who's supposed to tell all the people that now they get to leave and he's got to go talk to the king. And he's successful with that. I mean, there's a Nobel Prize, right? And then he ascends a mountain in the midst of fire and smoke and thunder and lightning and earthquakes, and he brings back the dictated word of God. He's got a lot of reason to have a trophy room in his tents, and yet he doesn't. He's the most humble person who ever lived. Rarely, I won't say never, because there's a couple times where he kind of loses it, but he's a human being. That's the whole point. But rarely does he let arrogance get the better of him. Okay, so I'm going to open the floor for questions, but before we do, are we okay? Are we good? We've got 5 minutes. Okay. But before we do, I just want to say that that idea of acting and having the support of heaven or the energy of the universe or whatever you want to call it. Studied with a Taoist teacher for about 10 years, so I'm open to all kinds of interpretation. That's how it works, is taking those concepts and showing up, just like folks did last Sunday at Joy Metropolitan. But as the saying goes, making good trouble. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. What a beautiful talk. I have a question on how your faith tradition would see the elder response in Moses' leadership. So I understood that there's the Council of Elders and that people should consult their elders and so forth, but it seems in your talk that Moses was just directly soul charged to make this without consulting elders. So that seems pivotal to me.
Yeah. So there's a moment early in Moses' career when his father-in-law, Jethro in English, I think, comes up to him and says, "Look, you're trying to do it all yourself, and you are wearing out yourself. But more importantly, you're wearing out the people by doing it all yourself. So here's what you've got to do. You've got to not just delegate, but you have to create this system of justice. Judges for the hundreds, for the thousands, right? You have to create a court system, and the ones that nobody can deal with, they work their way up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is Moses, but Moses going to God and saying, well, what are we going to do now? And the illustrative case is the daughters of Tzlofchad. Man dies not for anything that he did wrong, and he's left 5 daughters. And the daughters come to Moses and they say, look, the way inheritance laws are right now, we don't get anything. And unless we marry, and if we marry men who are not in our tribe, not only do we not get anything from our father's estate, but it moves out of our tribe completely. They're also thinking about the inheritance of territory in the Promised Land. And Moses basically says, wow, that's a really great question. Let me go ask the boss. And he consults with God, and he comes back with a ruling. And he says, you know what? From now on, if a man dies and he has no sons, his daughters inherit equally. So there is a system. Time and again, the elders are called upon, or they're brought with. In fact, even at Mount Sinai in the Revelation, on Mount Sinai, Moses is told, bring your brother Aaron and bring the elders. They don't get to go all the way up the mountain, because ostensibly they wouldn't have survived in the context of the story. But they have to be present, and they have to be closer to the action than everybody else, because they are considered to be the leadership of the people.
Thank you. We have time for one more question.
How does the principle of the practice of Tikkun Olam apply to ecological injustice, the damage, the environment that's affecting so many people?
Very much so, and that is our obligation. Our tradition does not interpret the Garden of Eden story as a original sin or the fall of humanity, anything like that. We do interpret it as a charge to humanity for responsibility for the natural world. Human beings are placed in the Garden of Eden. We are told the Ovda Ulashamra, which gets translated a lot of different ways, but an honest translation would be to serve it and to guard it. And that is the first obligation that is placed upon human beings before pru urvu, before be fruitful and multiply, right? God hasn't spoken to human beings at all yet. In that story, we are told the human beings are placed in the garden to guard it, to serve it, and to protect it. They're the sheriffs, right? To serve it and to guard it. And then later on, they're told, oh, by the way, there can be more of you, but this is your primary mandate.
And Rabbi, will you have time to stay afterwards and talk if people have additional questions?
Yeah, I can hang around for a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
super. Well, thank you so much. That was an excellent talk and very timely as well. Rabbi Kay will be also doing our closing music, Soul of My Soul.
I'm just going to give just a really brief introduction for this. In February of 1990, this is a song that just kind of came to me. I had the feeling that something really good was going to be happening, so I kind of responded to this the way you sometimes do if you write songs. And on March 10th, I met my wife. And we were married on August 25th, 1990. So far it's stuck. Bless the morning, bless the sun, bless the sleep now departing. Sacred sunrise renews creation, precious gift that each day started. Soul of my soul, awe and wonder, soul of my soul, strike me dumb. Oh, soul of my soul, words forsake me, oh, cradle me, soul of my soul. Bless the evening, bless the moon, bless this darkness now descending. Sacred starlight, jewels of heaven, precious gift at each day's ending. Soul of my soul, celebration, soul of my soul, rise to sing. Oh, soul of my soul, words forsake me, oh, cradle me, soul of my. Bless the man, bless the child they both created. Baby wonder, baby miracle, field of life they cultivated. Soul of my soul, awe and wonder, soul of my soul, strike me dumb. Oh, soul of my soul, words forsake me, oh, cradle me, soul of my soul. Bless the body, bless the spirit, bless the life of my companion. sacred union, self and other, precious gift of understanding. Soul of my soul, celebration. Soul of my soul, rise to sing. Oh, soul of my soul, words forsake me, oh, cradle me. Soul of my soul, soul of my soul, oh, and wonder, oh, soul of my soul, strike me dumb. Oh, soul of my soul, words forsake me, oh, cradle me, soul of my soul. Cradle me, soul of my soul.
All right, we're going to extinguish the chalice. Please join me. Neil Donald Wash wrote, "Give everyone whose life you touch a sense of their own worthiness as a person, a sense of the true wonder of who they are. Give this gift and you will heal the world." Thank you all. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and join us for coffee.
Just a quick announcement. So we're going to have this is a transitional time. There's going to be the coffee and social, but then immediately after that, there's going to be one of the sessions for the future of the church. So after you've gotten your coffee and stuff, we'll probably be putting out lunch for those who are staying. So just realize, please feel free, welcome, enjoy, but there's going to be a transition going on. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure, my honor. Thank you.